From disrupting terrorist plots to combating cyber threats, the United States intelligence community is a group of 18 federal agencies and organizations whose mission is to collect, analyze, and deliver foreign intelligence and counterintelligence information to America's leaders so they can make sound decisions to protect our country. They work behind the scenes, 24/7, 365, to ensure the safety and security of the nation. All of this costs America over $80 billion a year, which the government makes invisible because this money is allocated through what is known as the black budget. With that said, what are the 18 members of the intelligence community? What does each of them do? And why are there so many of them? I'm going to answer all those questions for you and much more. What's up, everyone? I'm Veteran Vinny, the voice behind General Discharge. Join me as I go over every single US intelligence community member one by one. This is Every US Intelligence Agency Explained. It all started in 1981 when President Reagan officially created the United States Intelligence Community, also called USIC, through an executive order. Throughout the years, other agencies would join, and in 2004, the Director of National Intelligence was set up to oversee them all. Within the 18 agencies in USIC, each U.S. military service branch has one major intelligence organization to support its information leads. Then there's intelligence departments embedded in other government agencies to enable their missions. And then there's the national agencies that help advise the Director of National Intelligence. With that overview out of the way, let's kick things off with our first USIC member discussed today, the Central Intelligence Agency. Without a doubt, the Central Intelligence Agency is one of the most well-known members of USIC that will be discussed in this video. The CIA carries out what is known as the intelligence cycle, which is the process of collecting, analyzing, and disseminating intelligence information to top US government officials. As a principal member of USIC, a lot of the information the CIA gathers is reported to the President and Cabinet of the United States. The CIA mostly focuses on overseas intelligence and has limited domestic intelligence collection. Its bread and butter is human intelligence, which is exactly what it sounds like, info derived from humans. Think spies, undercovers, you name it. In fact, the CIA is responsible for coordinating all human intelligence activities in the intelligence community, and it is the only agency authorized by law to carry out and oversee covert action at the direction of the President. A common misnomer people have about the CIA is that they call them CIA agents. They're not CIA agents, they're CIA officers. Even though the US government dumps billions into the US intelligence community, the one thing they're not doing is prioritizing the protection of your personal information. But if you're using Aura, today's sponsor, you won't have to worry about that. It's a really important time to be talking about identity theft because hackers may have stolen the social security numbers of every American. Yes, I'm not kidding. Over 2.9 billion records were stolen from national public data, which include full names, addresses, dates of birth, phone numbers, and social security numbers. And the worst part, members of the hacker group have reportedly released this information for free online. If you weren't taking precautions with your personal information online before, then this should be a huge wake-up call. You've never been more vulnerable online than you are right now. But I'm not too worried about my personal information because I use Aura. Aura alerts me if they find my phone number, email, or social security number on the dark web. They're going to let me know fast if anyone tries to use this information to access my credit or bank accounts. And they even give me up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen. They also provide a bunch of other features to keep me safe online, all inside one app. The reality is that it's on us to protect our personal data, but you don't have to do it alone. We could all use some peace of mind with Aura. You can go to our link aura.com/generaldischarge to try 14 days for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Don't let people exploit and profit off your private information. Again, that's aura.com/generaldischarge for your 14-day free trial. Links in the description or pinned comment below, or you can scan the QR code on screen. Now back to the video. With the CIA covered, let's move on to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI for short, is the United States' principal federal law enforcement agency. This is another well-known member of USIC, as the FBI is a household name. It works with the Department of Justice in prosecuting over 200 categories of federal crimes, and it is also an integral member of the intelligence community with its intelligence branch. The FBI is responsible for understanding threats to our national security and penetrating national and transnational networks that have a desire and capability to harm the United States. Protecting the US from terrorist attacks is one of their top priorities, and they are the lead agency for exposing, preventing, and investigating intelligence activities on US soil. The FBI uses techniques such as interviews, wiretaps, and data analysis to gather its intelligence. They have agents, intelligence analysts, and various other important personnel who help them with this monumental task. With the FBI covered, let's move on to the National Security Agency. The National Security Agency, or NSA for short, along with the Central Security Service, are the U.S. organizations that work together to protect United States information systems and gather important information from other countries' communications. Founded in 1952, the NSA is part of the Department of Defense and USIC. The NSA is the world leader in cryptology, which is the art and science of making and breaking codes. This expertise allows the NSA to accomplish the goals of discovering adversary secrets, protecting US secrets, and outmaneuvering adversaries in cyberspace, all while protecting the privacy rights of the American people. At one point, the NSA was the largest United States intelligence organization, but we don't know the number of people who work in the agency because, big surprise here, it's classified. The NSA is also one of the most important centers of foreign language analysis and research within the US government, and is said to be the largest employer of mathematicians in the United States and perhaps the world. With the NSA covered, let's move on to the National Reconnaissance Office. The National Reconnaissance Office designs, builds, and operates the nation's reconnaissance satellites. In other words, NRO develops, acquires, launches, and operates space-based assets and ground systems to see, hear, and sense threats around the world in real time. Millions of people depend on vital intelligence that NRO capabilities deliver every single day. Their systems address the nation's toughest intelligence challenges, providing information and perspectives unavailable from other sources. The NRO also prides itself on building the most advanced intelligence vehicles. They provide their products to the CIA, DoD, and others, which can warn of potential trouble spots around the world, help plan military operations, and monitor the environment. As part of the intelligence community, the NRO plays a primary role in achieving information superiority for the US government and armed forces. It is staffed by DoD and CIA personnel. With the National Reconnaissance Office covered, let's move on to the Defense Intelligence Agency. The Defense Intelligence Agency is a Department of Defense combat support agency. Its mission is simple: provide intelligence on foreign militaries to prevent and decisively win wars. With more than 16,500 military and civilian employees worldwide, the DIA is a major producer and manager of foreign military intelligence and provides military intelligence in support of U.S. military planning and operations and weapons systems acquisition. It is the U.S.'s premier all-source military intelligence organization, and nearly 1/4 of the intelligence presented to the President in his daily briefing comes from the DIA. The DIA director serves as principal advisor to the Secretary of Defense and to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on matters of military intelligence. The director also chairs the Military Intelligence Board, which coordinates activities of the defense intelligence community. With a global workforce of highly skilled civilian, military, and contractor professionals forward deployed to combat zones and fully integrated into every combatant command, the DIA maintains a presence doing what it does best in over 160 countries. With the Defense Intelligence Agency covered, let's move on to the U.S. Army. The U.S. Army's USIC organization is U.S. Army Intelligence, also called G2. G2 intelligence gathering and interpretation can trace its history all the way back to the American Revolution. It is responsible for all things intelligence for the Department of the Army. Its mission is the operational environment. It creates the conditions necessary to research it, define it, understand it, apply it, and export it. They know the enemy and make sure their customers do too. The G2 coordinates the 5 major military intelligence disciplines disciplines within the Army, which are imagery intelligence, signals intelligence, human intelligence, measurement and signature intelligence, and counterintelligence and security countermeasures. In other words, it provides up-to-date, important, and accurate intelligence and electronic warfare support to tactical, operational, and strategic level commanders. The G2 is a dynamic, connected, supportive, and highly competent organization. With U.S. Army intelligence covered, let's move on to the U.S. Navy. The U.S. Navy's USIC organization is the Office of Naval Intelligence. The Office of Naval Intelligence is America's premier maritime intelligence service and a core element of the U.S. Navy's information warfare community. Established in 1882, it is the nation's longest-serving intelligence agency. The Office of Naval Intelligence possesses unmatched knowledge of the maritime operating environment and develops a deep understanding of threats to America's security to national decision-makers and the fleet. It collects, analyzes, and produces maritime intelligence and disseminates that intelligence rapidly to strategic, operational, and tactical decision-makers to meet Navy, DoD, and national requirements. It produces maritime intelligence on naval weapons and technology proliferation, transnational threats and civil maritime counter-proliferation, counter-narcotics and the global maritime environment, and other activities that directly support the U.S. Navy, joint warfighters, and national decision-makers and agencies. With the Office of Naval Intelligence covered, let's move on to the U.S. Marine Corps. The Marine Corps' USIC organization is called Marine Corps Intelligence. The U.S. Marine Corps produces tactical and operational intelligence for battlefield support. Its intelligence component is composed of all intelligence professionals in the Marine Corps responsible for intelligence and supporting activities within the USMC. The department supports the Marine Corps Commandant in his role as a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, represents the service in joint and intelligence community matters, and exercises supervision over the Marine Corps intelligence activity. The department has service staff responsibility for Geospatial-Intelligence, Advanced Geospatial-Intelligence, Signals Intelligence, Human Intelligence, Counterintelligence, and ensures there is a single synchronized strategy for the development of the Marine Corps Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance enterprise. The Marine Corps Director of Intelligence is the Commandant's Principal Intelligence Staff Officer and the Functional Manager for Intelligence, Counterintelligence, and Cryptologic matters. With Marine Corps Intelligence covered, let's move on to the U.S. Air Force. The U.S. Air Force's USIC organization is called the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, or the Air Force Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Enterprise. It is America's leading provider for finished intelligence derived from airborne, space, and cyberspace sensors. Its mission is to find and understand threats in the air, space, missile, and cyber domains. It helps the U.S. military plan missions, build better weapons, and make informed decisions about defending the nation. Additionally, the Air Force ISR enterprise delivers decision advantage in order to enable commanders to achieve effects on targets anywhere on the globe in support of national, strategic, operational, and tactical requirements. With Air Force intelligence covered, let's move on to the U.S. Coast Guard. The U.S. Coast Guard's USIC organization is called Coast Guard Intelligence. Although CGI was founded in 1915, it was formally brought into the intelligence community in 2001. The Coast Guard's broad responsibilities include protecting citizens from the sea, protecting America from threats delivered by the sea, and protecting the sea itself. The Coast Guard's persistent presence in the maritime domain, due to its diverse mission sets and broad legal authorities, allows it to fill a unique niche within the intelligence community. Because of its unique access, emphasis, and expertise in the maritime domain, Coast Guard Intelligence can collect and report intelligence that not only supports Coast Guard missions, but also supports national objectives. Coast Guard Intelligence strives to create decision advantage to advance U.S. interests by providing timely, actionable, and relevant intelligence to shape Coast Guard operations, planning, and decision-making, and to support national and homeland security intelligence requirements. With Coast Guard Intelligence covered, let's move on to the U.S. Space Force. The U.S. Space Force's USIC organization is called the National Space Intelligence Center. Established on December 20th, 2019, the Space Force is the sixth and newest branch of the U.S. military, so a lot of what's involved here is brand new and may evolve, change, and adapt over the years. NSIC is the nation's space intelligence center, providing progressive, predictive, and pioneering intelligence to outwit, outreach, and win in and through the space domain, protecting America and its allies in space now now and into the future. NSIC's mission is to deliver game-changing intelligence and unmatched technical expertise to empower national leaders, joint force warfighters, and acquisition professionals to ensure freedom of access and maneuver in and through the space domain. It is also responsible for national and military space missions and studies the strengths, weaknesses, and limits of space and counter-space systems and services. With the National Space Intelligence Center covered, let's move on to the Bureau of Intelligence and Research. The Bureau of Intelligence and Research, or INR for short, falls under the Department of State. Its main mission is to provide all-source intelligence and analysis in support of U.S. diplomacy and foreign policy. The INR is the oldest civilian counterpart of the U.S. intelligence community and also one of the smallest, with about 300 people. Even though it doesn't have as much money or technology as the other agencies do, it is still highly respected for the quality of its work. The INR mainly focuses on analysis and does not take part in espionage or counterintelligence. Instead, it uses information collected by other agencies, reports from the Foreign Service, and open sources like news articles and academic studies. It is the bridge of intelligence and foreign policy, playing a key role in ensuring that intelligence activities are consistent with U.S. foreign policy and that other agencies and USIC understand the needs of senior foreign policy decision makers. With the Bureau of Intelligence and Research covered, let's move on to the Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence. The U.S. Department of Energy's Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence is responsible for the intelligence and counterintelligence activities throughout the Department of Energy complex, including nearly 30 intelligence and counterintelligence offices nationwide. Its mission is to inform national security decision makers and mitigate threats to the Department of Energy enterprise and the nation's energy security by providing unique scientific and technical intelligence expertise. The office protects vital national security information and technologies, representing intellectual property of limitless value, and provides unmatched scientific and technical expertise to the U.S. government to respond to foreign intelligence, terrorist and cyber threats, to solve the hardest problems associated with U.S. energy security, and to address a wide range of other national security issues. With the Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence covered, let's move on to the Office of Intelligence and Analysis. The Office of Intelligence and Analysis, or OIA, falls under the Department of the Treasury. OIA is responsible for the receipt, analysis, arranging, and dissemination of foreign intelligence and foreign counterintelligence information related to the operation and responsibilities of the Treasury Department. It helps marshal intelligence and enforcement functions with the twin aims of safeguarding the financial system against illicit use and combating rogue nations, terrorist facilitators, weapons of mass destruction proliferators, money launderers, drug kingpins, and other national security threats. For example, it has helped identify and interdict funding streams to terrorist and insurgent networks in the global war on terror. With the Office of Intelligence and Analysis covered, let's move on to the Drug Enforcement Administration. The Drug Enforcement Administration is responsible for enforcing the controlled substance laws and regulations of the United States. The DEA's USIC organization is called the Office of National Security Intelligence, which joined USIC in 2006. Its goal is to enhance the U.S.'s efforts to reduce the supply of drugs, protect national security, and combat global terrorism. The Office of National Security Intelligence facilitates full and appropriate intelligence coordination and information sharing with other members of the U.S. intelligence community and homeland security elements, such as helping start new investigations into major drug organizations, supporting ongoing cases and prosecutions, gathering information that leads to seizures and arrests, and giving policymakers updates on illegal drug trade trends to guide their decisions. With the Office of National Security Intelligence covered, let's move on to the Office of Intelligence and Analysis. If you've been watching through this whole time, you might be asking yourself, didn't we already cover the Office of Intelligence and Analysis? We certainly did, but USIC has two of them, and this one belongs to the Department of Homeland Security. This one is one of the two statutory members of USIC within DHS, the other being Coast Guard Intelligence that we covered earlier. DHS's Office of Intelligence and Analysis is responsible for using information and intelligence from multiple sources to identify and assess current and future threats to the United States. DHS intelligence focuses on four strategic areas, which are to promote understanding of threats through intelligence analysis, collect information and intelligence pertinent to homeland security, share information necessary for action, and manage intelligence for the homeland security enterprise. It is the only member of the intelligence community that is tasked with providing intelligence to to state, local, tribal, and territorial governments, private sector entities, and developing national intelligence products from information collected by state, local, tribal, and territorial entities. With the Office of Intelligence and Analysis covered for technically a second time, let's move on to the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency. Anyone who sails a U.S. ship, flies a U.S. aircraft, makes national policy decisions, fights wars, locates targets, responds to natural disasters, or navigates with a cell phone relies on the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency. The National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency provides timely, relevant, and accurate geospatial intelligence in support of national security objectives. Geospatial intelligence is the use of imagery, imagery intelligence, and geospatial information to describe and depict features, activities, and locations on Earth, helping users visualize what is happening at a particular time and place. Geospatial intelligence allows military commanders to know the exact location of forces on the battlefield. It predicts adversary movement based on natural and man-made obstacles. Geospatial intelligence goes beyond describing the what, where, and when to exposing the how and why. Thus, the NGA is a unique combination of an intelligence agency and combat support agency. As the world leader in geospatial intelligence, it enables the U.S. intelligence community and the Department of Defense to fulfill the President's national security priorities to protect the nation. With the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency covered, let's move on to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. This one is pretty simple to cover. As we said at the beginning of the video, the intelligence community is led by the Director of National Intelligence. The DNI's statutory leadership is exercised through the Officer of the Director of National Intelligence. Its goal is to effectively integrate foreign, military, and domestic intelligence in defense of the homeland and of United States interests abroad. You can essentially think of this organization as the head honcho of everything we discussed in this video. And with that, we've gone over every single member of the United States intelligence community. As you've learned, there are a lot of moving parts in U.S. intelligence. At a first glance, it might seem like a lot of these missions and goals overlap, but once you get into the finer details of it all, you can see that each of these organizations play a vital role in keeping America and its interests safe. I had a lot of fun making this video. Some of these organizations have been requested before, and I keep a running list of video ideas from all of your suggestions. Please let me know what else you'd like to see me cover. And if you'd like to take your support to the next level and help me make more videos like this, the link to my Patreon is in the description and pinned comment below. Well, that is the down and dirty of the US intelligence community. If you learned something from this video, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. As always, thank you for watching. Do you even want to be here?
All your friends are subscribing to General Discharge, and you don't even want to be here.